Alright, so I'm going to come at you here with another welding video. It's been a minute since I've done some welding stuff. So, you know, mostly I've been doing scrap metal. Still doing scrap metal. But, I got a welding project I got to do for some guy's dump trailer. He's got a dump trailer similar to mine. Only his is lighter duty. And he does like landscaping and stuff. So he's got a leaf sucker thing that he was hanging on his rear door, and it was tearing the hinges off his door. So we're putting a bracket on the front of it to mount the leaf sucker. And so I got some steel cut out for it here, and I'm going to use this table here to build it. For those of you that don't know, this is a fixture table. For some reason on the internet there's a big controversy over, you know, these things. A lot of people say you don't need them. I say you don't absolutely need them, but they do save you a lot of time and effort. And, you know, if you're trying to hire employees, you know, you can get guys with less skill building high quality stuff on one of these. So this one in particular is a Fireball tool table. I think this is their smallest, cheapest table you can get. I got the leg kit for it, which is just a strong hand tools Nomad portable welding table. Pretty much the same as the Harbor Freight one. I'm pretty sure you can interchange parts on this. The base of it with the Harbor Freight one. I think you can take the top of it off and put it on the Harbor Freight one as well. But that's besides the point. So I got a fixture table here, and I actually did an interview phone conversation thing with a dude from Fireball Tools recently. So one of the things I was saying is that, you know, these things can save you a lot of time and effort. Yeah, so to show that, I'm going to be building this mount here for the trailer on this table. This mount is pretty much on the limits of what I can build on this table, but I'll still show you it because it's still going to save me a lot of time. So I'm going to mount you guys up here and we'll get started on this. I already got it set up, but it only took me 3 minutes to set up for this stage of the build, but I'll keep the camera rolling in real time when I set up for the next stage. Alright, so this piece here was supposed to be 25 inches. I got it a little off when I cut it, so I'm going to throw an 1/8 inch shim in here. If it mattered, you know, I would just recut the piece, but it doesn't matter that much. This is a one-off build. That 1/8 of an inch isn't going to matter. You know, I'm building, I'm putting some other stuff on it anyway. We're just going to have like mounting brackets to where the machine can bolt to this. So if I'm a little bit off, nobody's going to notice on this. What I'm trying to do though, is the reason why I have that shim in there is, you know, you can adjust, like if it's like this piece is going to be shorter than this one. So I already adjusted it to make this from, this is where the trailer is going to be, to here is going to be about the same. Like I said, this table is about, like it's this structure here is on the limits of what this table can handle size-wise. So I had to get a little bit more creative than if I was building this on a bigger table. That's 24 inches there. I see. I see. That's 24 1/16. That's about 24 1/16 as well. So I think we're good to clamp that. Sometimes you don't even need to clamp things on here, depending on how you have it set up. Sometimes you do, so I'm just going to go ahead and clamp this one. So that can't go anywhere, and now we're ready to weld. So the welder's set up now. So I'm just kind of doing that so it can't pull together. I'm going to bring it over here onto this other table. I'm going to make 2 welds on it here real quick. Alright, and just like that, this thing is now welded. It's obviously going to need to get ground down, but as far as fabrication goes, this part's complete. Now I got to rearrange this little table here to accommodate the next stage of the build. So what I'm going to do is these plates, they're getting welded to the trailer, and then this piece is going to get welded to the plates. So I got to figure out where to space things. So I know 23 1/8 is the center. These are 6 inches. So if I go to the center of this, it should be 3 inches. So let me do some math here real quick. 23 minus 6 is 17, I think. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so I need to go 17 1/8 on the fence blocks. So I'm going to just throw this here for now. That's 17. I don't really like that. There we go, 17. Then I have these little 1/8 inch shims here. Gotta move these things around here. So same configuration, I guess. I don't think I need these to raise it up off the table on this one. I do need these ones though. And then these ones will go here, I think, for now. That way I can throw this on here like so. And yeah, these ones are going to be lined up. Now I want to come off of this just a little bit. So I think I will throw my spacer right there. Then I set this up. I'm figuring out how to do this here. I know that this should be 2 inches from fence block to here, so I can throw a shim in there. Because I have 2-inch shims, I'm going to throw that in there, and then this is going to be 2 1/8. Turn that shim, throw this one in, should fit. It just barely does not fit. Huh. Imagine that. Well, that is close enough, I would say. I think it did probably pull in just a little bit. If I needed to, like if that mattered so much, I could spread it out if I needed to. I think I can work with this though. So that's there. That's there. So now I can go ahead, get this thing tacked together. I'm gonna clamp this though. Okay, we're gonna throw a clamp on there. Throw a clamp on here. And I don't know, I might throw this one on here as well. Just on the one side. Alright, clamp this. And then clamp it on this side as well. That one's on there. I might get another square out, clamp it here, just to be sure, but actually that's not going anywhere. So I can go ahead and weld that now. At least get them tacked together. This thing did twist on me. I'm gonna make sure the other one didn't twist. Not that it really matters in this project. But yeah, that one's good. So now I can tack them things on there. Those are not the best welds, but should be packed together. Throw another one on here. There we go. It ain't moving. Now I can take it off of there, throw it on my actual welding table, and I'll get it welded together. Then I have these little triangle pieces here that I'm going to cut out, or they're already cut out. Well, I got to grind the corners off. They're going to gusset it right there. This will go where the square is currently. That'll give it a little support on this side. And then when I get on site to install this on the trailer, there's going to be a tube that runs from here to here somehow. maybe. Because the machine that's going on this is pretty heavy. So I do want a support tube going like this somehow. But there's also a spare tire that's going to be in the way here. So I'm going to get this on site and I can figure that out. Yeah, you guys can see, I'll pull this off of here. Even with this little tiny table, the amount of time that saved me to build this thing versus having to clamp a bunch of squares and double check things 1,000 times. That was insane. This thing I did a flat rate on, so if I get this done really quick, it's more money in my pocket. If I bid hourly on this, I wouldn't make as much money, but it's going to save the customer money, which in the long run is going to make you more money because that customer will come back to you. If, you know, you took 3 hours to build this simple little thing that took me probably 20 minutes, you know, the chances of that customer coming back to you again are very slim. So yeah, I'll get this off of here. Also, don't weld in short sleeves. That shit sucks. Should have put on my welding jacket before I started filming. Once I started filming, I forgot to put on my safety stuff. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's going to get mounted on some of the guy's trailer. When it's on there, it's going to look like this. And then there's a machine that's going to sit on here. I got to drill holes in these things here. One of them is going to sit on the tube there, and this other one going to get welded to the machine. Then I'm mounting on this, and then there's going to be bolts that run through there so he can take his machine off. So there's going to be more than just these two, obviously. Trying to get 4 on each thing. Or two mounts, but 4 plates on each tube. And like I said, I'm going to support it somehow. Yeah. Then for those of you that are wondering, this is actually the same tube that I used to build the square frame things for the Fireball Tool Challenge. So, you know, I used steel that I had to build this. So, yeah, and it really didn't take too long. Like these tables, they're expensive, yes, but in the long run, they will pay for themselves. You know, we talked about it, like me and Jason. I don't know if they're going to include that in their video, but it took me 3 hours to build a structure similar to this. I mean, it was different measurements, obviously, but the only difference was I had another bar going this way, but it's the same structure. It took me probably 20 minutes to get this far. It took me 3 hours to do them each square for the Fireball Challenge. So, you know, even though this is a one-off project, this table still saved me a lot of time. And if I had to mass produce these things, I mean, you know, you could bang out probably 100 of these in a day once you get going, versus only being able to do 3 of them in a day the old school way. So, you know, these tables save you a lot of time, money, and effort. So yeah, that's all I got for today. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos with tables, these fixture tables in the future. This is a quick one. I'm kind of in a rush, which is why you saw me weld in short sleeves. So yeah, that's it for today. See ya. All right, so here's not the finished product, but I got it cleaned up, and then I got these plates all drilled out. These are actually two different plates. They're a welded pair. I'm gonna keep them welded together, so that way when I go, I'm gonna go down on site, I'll probably stick one like this, weld it to this plate, and then weld it to weld it to the machine that's gonna sit on this. I'm gonna bolt them together, and then I'll break the tacks. They're just tacked together. But I'm gonna keep welded pairs of them, so that way, since my drill press is not very accurate, and these are all different sizes because they're just random pieces of scrap metal that I found. The drill holes might not be exactly the same per, like if I threw this on here, it may not bolt together perfectly. So I'm going to keep them in welded pairs, weld them to this, set the machine on, weld them to that, bolt them together, break the tacks loose. So that way, the machine bolts up to this just fine. Yeah, I ground down all the welds, so it doesn't matter what your welds look like, as long as you get some good penetration in there, as long as it's going to hold. Then I got these gussets on here. So these were also just scrap metal that I found laying around. They're not exactly a matching set, but I don't think anybody will really care in this application. And yeah, you may be very confused as to what this thing is until you see it. So I'll try to take a picture when I end the video here. But an interesting thing I noticed when I was drilling these holes out, at the end of the day, or after I'm done drilling a project like this, which I would consider this a big project from my little drill press, I'll sweep up, save up the scrap metal. I have maybe a half gallon of steel ribbon in there. I think it's pretty crazy. This is after a couple months of saving that stuff up. I think it's crazy. We had the one junkyard I worked at, we had a customer coming in with a 20 or 30 yard dumpster about every 6 to 7 months. They would fill this thing up with nothing but steel ribbon like this, and the chips from those carbide tipped saws. So I just think, it kind of puts things in perspective. I mean, I don't know if they had a robot or anything, but, I just have this little tiny drill press over here in the corner. It's kind of a mess over here, but just this little tiny Craftsman. And yeah, drilling through steel, I mean, it does okay. It's not the best. But yeah, all that after a couple months. And then there's some guys that have 30 yards of this stuff in that time. So I think it kind of puts things in perspective a little bit. But yeah, this is probably going to end the video. I'll probably show a picture of this after it's installed so you can see what it is. But yeah, this little table, like holy heck man, it saves a lot of time. So yeah, see ya.